Today I'm paying a house call. I'm all the way in North Carolina to Apex to visit with Chris Jenkins and his marvelous fishing reel collection. I'm not sure his wife thinks it's so marvelous, but he thinks it is. And we're going to start the day off with Chris's pride and joy, which is this Mitchell 498. What can you tell us about it, Chris? How did you come by this reel?
There is a fella in San Francisco area that got me hooked on the idea of building a 498 and using the chrome parts that you see. So that reel was totally built from parts. It's not a reel that was ever made in a factory or anything. And the chroming was done in a custom motorcycle shop. And it took a long time, it took almost 3 months to find all the parts now. I had to even go to France to get some of them. Getting them all to fit. The reel itself took about almost 4 months to put the whole thing together and get it working right. But it's fairly smooth, but in my lifetime, it'll never be fished with because it's too valuable to me.
I tried to talk him into taking it out to the ocean, but he says, no, we can't do that.
No chance.
Okay.
I got other ones for that. But that reel is the closest one to my heart of all the reels, mainly because I built it.
All right, next up for his offering is this Mitchell 306. This is a beautiful reel. Doesn't look like it's ever been fished. I'm afraid to touch it. I don't want to mess it up. You guys know what the reels I usually deal with look like.
Never been fished.
Never been fished.
No, not at all.
That does not look like an original handle.
Let's see. What's on it? Has that got a Gomexus on it? Oh, yeah. That's one of my custom handles.
Okay.
I have the original.
You have the original?
I always keep the original.
All right. So, what can you tell us about the 306?
The 306 is a middle-size reel made by Mitchell, but it is the workhorse reel. It is phenomenal for just being sturdy. There's not a ball bearing in it. They were people up in New York in that area that fish in Long Island Sound and all. That's one of their favorite reels. I have one like that. Remember, with many of those Mitchells, I have both a bailed version with the bail and a PUM or pickup manual, as you want to translate.
Manual pickup reel, yeah.
Yeah, and I purposely got 2 versions of all of those.
Okay.
Because I love them. But that's a workhorse reel, and it's a joy to work on. It has a planomatic gear in it, you know, which does the weird oscillation. And,
is that like what's in the 302 that I'm going to be rebuilding on here shortly?
Yeah.
All right.
And you can go ahead and look at this one. This is the high speed.
Okay,
version.
he's jumping ship on me. We're going to move from the 306 over to the 406.
We're videoing. My grandson just showed up.
Okay.
Avid fisherman. We did the 306. We haven't done the 406.
Yeah, we got interrupted for a second, but we're back. Now we're back to the 306. No, this is 406.
406.
We already did the 306.
The 406 is unique in that it's a high-speed version of the 306. 306 is about a 3.1 to 1 gear ratio to turns of the handle to turns of the rotor. And the 406 is about a 4.6, I think. The difference is the 406 also has a ball bearing, but it's a ball bearing that I have a disturbed relationship with because it's open. If you pull the sleeve, when you pull out the whole unit, I could get one right quick and show you what it is.
That's okay.
But those ball bearings will be everywhere.
Okay.
So you can pull it just the tiniest bit and put some drops of oil in it.
So this is one I need to do a video on to show people how to put all those ball bearings back.
Yeah, grease is the only way because that's your glue.
All right.
But it runs smoother than the other one and it's faster. But a lot of fishermen still prefer the old reliable 306.
Okay, so why don't you like this reel?
I love it.
Well, how come it doesn't have a Gomex handle?
It actually does. It's just not in the box. Every one of my Mitchell reels that have that kind of torpedo handle, I have put a Gomexus power knob on them because I despise those things.
You don't like this knob?
No, they stick in my hand.
They stick in your hand. All right. All right, now we're back with this Mitchell 302. And what can you tell us about that one?
The 302N really has nothing to do with the original 302.
Really?
It's not. It's a whole nother reel altogether. And it begins the series of the large saltwater Mitchells that have, all of them basically have that same shape of the housing and body, and they're divided two kinds. One is a cup rotor, where the spool goes in and outside of a cup.
Okay.
Which really gets more water into the reel.
It does.
And so it's not both. But when you get to the 396, the 496, and the 498, they have skirted spools.
Okay.
So a lot of people love them better. We'll in another video,
we'll be getting to that in a minute. So,
but this is one of the.
So why is this not like a 302?
A 302 is much more complicated. The 302 has the planomatic gearing
which I'm going to be doing the video on here before too long.
It winds the line. Some people don't like it. I think they're wonderful because the spool doesn't just go out, in, out, in. It goes out a little bit more, back a little bit, back a little bit, back a little bit. And so you're constantly getting a good steady wind the whole time.
Okay.
And it's called Mitchell called it planomatic. Some people called it planetary.
Right, which is what I did.
Right. But that's the big difference. Also, the Mitchell, the bearing.
Now this 302 doesn't have that gearing?
No.
Okay.
Once you get into these big ones, they're just straight in, out, in, out.
Okay.
But they're much easier to work on and simpler.
Has this one got that little pin on the?
No. That's just, that one has a plate on it with 3 screws that holds it in, and that plate also has the trip mechanism to make the bail trip.
Okay, what we were talking about there is on the 302, there's a little bitty pin. It's just tiny.
There's one on each side. Oh, we might be talking about 2 different things. You're talking about the little key pin? The keyway, yeah.
The little keyway that you have, it sits in. This does or doesn't have it?
It doesn't have it.
Does not have it. Yeah, it sits on the axle shaft, or actually it's the rotor shaft, the pinion sleeve. Yeah, fits into the pinion sleeve, and
it's the only thing that makes the rotor turn.
If that's gone, the whole thing will just spin on the head.
Smaller than a BB.
Yeah, it's tiny. And I had to order one. I think it cost me $11 to get that little pin.
I think I have 3 left that I haven't lost.
So anyway, so this reel doesn't have that. This is a 302N.
And it doesn't have, the other 302 has 2 tiny set screws on the sides that hold the bearing.
Right. And I had to replace my 302 housing because that was stripped out.
Those things, if you get one and those things you can turn them, you've won the ball game. That's going to be a good reel. Yeah. Because everything else you can fix. You cannot fix that.
I was not able to get mine out. I bought another one from Second Chance Tackle.
And let's show them a little bit about this.
Show them this Gomex handle.
The Gomexus is a Chinese company, and I developed quite a relationship with them because I did them on vintage reels, not the modern reels that they actually make them for. They have 2 ball bearings inside them. They fit your hand beautifully. And so you got a ball bearing in here and a ball bearing here. Yeah. Are they replaceable? Yeah.
The ball bearings are?
Now, if you follow their directions, they want you to use that blue Loctite in it.
Right.
I don't do it because I like to be able to get in them. And you put that Loctite on it. I don't care if it is the blue one, which is supposed to be able to get loose.
It's the pliable one.
Sooner or later, you're not going to be able to move that thing.
Okay, so you just take this screw out and this whole thing comes off.
Exactly.
So anyway.
And you can unscrew the whole head and get to the front bearing. And I'll do that and just oil them up.
Just to oil it. Now, does he ever have any trouble with this coming unscrewed while you were?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to know that and be constantly aware of it if you're using it. And you leave them loose like I do. Now, my first ones I did, I didn't do that. I did the Loctite on them. And they worked fine. I just like to be able to have access. And like I said, on every reel that had the torpedo Mitchell handle on it, I would made one of those for it. Okay. Because I don't like them. And after you get to the the four numbers, they all have the Mitchell coffee grinder type handle. I call them pancake handle.
Okay.
And I like those. I've never replaced one of those.
All right. Okay, next is going to be this Mitchell 402. Now, what makes it that different than a 302?
It's the high-speed version of the 302.
Of the 302.
That's the only difference between them.
Okay, and of course you've got your Gomex handle over here.
Right. Is the original handle in there too?
Yes, the original handle is in there too, but you've got it kind of locked out here.
I also have a PUM version, a bailless version of this one too,
okay,
just like the other one.
And we're going to discuss some of that PUM here in a little bit. Especially when we get to the Daiwa reels, but that'll be a different video. Okay. All right. There is the Mitchell 402 saltwater.
Saltwater, definitely.
Pretty much all of Dennis's reels, most of them are saltwater versions.
Chris's.
And, sorry, Chris's. What did I say?
Hey, I'll take honor by that.
Oh, that's what I said. What did I say? Dennis?
Dennis.
Okay. All right.
Dennis says he's not a collector. He's a what did he call it? When you binge store things, have things everywhere.
A hoarder?
He's an accumulator.
He's an accumulator. Okay.
That's what he said.
What can you tell us about the 402?
It has a.
It's just a high-speed version of the
302. The 302 is 3.1.
Okay, now this is a 402, not a 402N. It's a 402, so it has that pin or that pin on the.
Yes. Oh yes, it has it.
Okay, all the things that I didn't like, and does it have the oscillation gear? Yes. That weird planetary.
Yes.
Okay.
And they never made a 402N.
They never made a 402N.
Only the 302N. And the 302N and the 386 are exactly the same reel.
Okay. So,
we'll show you a 386 in a minute.
All right. Okay. This is another 302N. Remember, we just talked about a 302N. But this one has a white spool on it. And Chris tells me that makes it a lot more valuable because apparently you can't find the white or gray spools hardly anymore. So I don't happen to have any, I can tell you. So, but it's basically the same as the 386, which is this reel here. We're going to put them both in the picture at the same time.
The only thing different is on the housing side where the sign of what the reel is. On the housing side of the reel, one says 302N and one says 386, but if you open it up, you work with everything, it's exactly the same reel.
Okay.
Exactly the same.
Now, what's the weak point of these reels?
All right, there are basically two that I would say. One is that under the rotor part, there is a bail trip mechanism that has a plastic block in it that a pin goes through. You saw it on yours.
Yeah, this is it right here.
And all that. And those things.
And when that comes up, that pin's supposed to come up and drop into that hole
exactly.
through that plastic block.
Exactly. And if that thing gets worn a bit, the only thing you can do is replace it, and they're very hard to find now.
And how did I get mine out?
You went through heck with it.
I cut it out. I took a Dremel tool and cut it out.
And once they mess up all that, and oddly enough, all these big spinning reels, the rotor ones, they have a brake shoe in them.
Yeah.
That's different than anything. And what it does is when you're going to cast, you open that spool, open the bail to cast. That puts that brake foot shoe against the inside of the rotor, and it keeps the rotor from turning or spinning while you're casting.
Now, if we take the rotor off, can we see that?
No,
you have to take.
Yeah. If you take the rotor off, you can see it.
Okay.
Not the spool, but the rotor.
Oh, so you take the spool off, you can't see that brake because the brake's up under here, and it's on the side.
On the bottom.
It's like a big rubber band.
Yeah.
But it's like a big, heavy black rubber band.
And believe it or not, the original ones have asbestos in them.
Yeah. And when you look at them, if you open the reel up and it's broken in there, it looks like a little piece of rubber hose with a slit down the side of it.
And I'd say 95% of the old ones of these that you open up for the first time, that's exactly what you're going to find.
And that's the weak spot in these reels.
That's the weak.
This plastic with the metal rod going through it and that rubber band.
Of course, that rubber band, you don't really need that.
It works fine without it.
The other weak point is the oscillation block is plastic.
Oh, really? In both the 396 and the 302N?
Yeah, the one that it isn't plastic in, 496.
Okay.
It's metal.
Let's move over to the 496.
No, let's go to the 396 first.
All right, we're going to go to 396. Okay, that moves us on to the 396s. Oh, by the way, I'm going to point this out. Here, I did it again. Chris likes these laid down with the bail up so it doesn't bend the bail if it's laying on top of it. If something hits it or something, it can bend the bail, and that can mess them up. So we're trying real hard not to do that. Okay, the 396, what can you tell us about that one, Chris?
The 396, some people call that the best fishing reel, saltwater fishing reel Mitchell ever made.
Okay.
But the real unique thing about it is the first Mitchell that was made with a skirted spool. And you can hold that up, Rick, and you can see, y'all can see how they have skirted spools on them, where the spool goes outside of the rotor, not in it.
Okay, now, this one is not a skirted spool.
And that may not, okay,
it's a 396. No, sorry, it's 386. That's why.
That's why.
There we go. That's a 386. Did we do a 386?
I think we did.
I think we did. We did.
We did.
We did. 386 is done.
That one, you can see the difference, though, between...
Yeah, let's bring it back for that reason.
See the difference between a skirted spool and a cup rotor.
Yeah. Is the cup rotor, the spool fits down inside the rotor like this. See how the spool goes down inside it?
And so you have more water retention in that kind of reel.
Yes, when the line comes in, it's going to come off of here, and as that line goes in here, it's going to feed down inside here, wet line, and that's going to drain off and drain down inside the spool, which causes it to feed down inside the cup. Whereas with the skirted spool, like this one, okay, and I notice these are not the same size spool. Are these both the same? This is a bigger, no, it's not. It's just optical illusion.
There's a lot of optical illusion with these things because the housing and everything are basically the same in all the reels.
Yeah, it looks bigger, but it's not. All right. But anyway, this is a skirted spool. Anytime the line comes in, the water's going to run off and it's going to run onto the outside instead of down inside that reel.
And the other thing is it casts a lot better because with the cup rotor, they tell you to bring the spool all the way up to the top edge of the rotor so you're not sending line out from inside that rotor
like this. Cup. Bring it up like that when you go to cast.
When you cast.
So that the line's coming off here instead of from down inside the spool.
And I try when I put mine together such that this thing's going to be at the top a lot of the times when the bail is
set here
at the top.
Okay.
Because then you can put it down at the bottom and see. I try that. It doesn't always stay that way, but
yeah.
And I'll tell you what, the bail springs on these things will break your finger. They are really
okay. We'll
powerful.
go ahead and get the 386 out of the way now. Anything? Let's get that off of the bail. Anything else we want to talk about on the 396?
Let's see. The one thing that the one 396 right there on your right.
Right.
This has an unusual handle on it that has created a little bit of discussion because Rick's seen somebody and seen one. And
just this week on Facebook where they were talking about having this handle on a Mitchell reel.
And our discussion is whether that's an original Mitchell handle or not, because that's the only one I have ever seen, and it came on that reel when I got it. And it's not a Gomexus, it doesn't have ball bearings in it, it's very much like the pancake handle like this, except it's white, and nobody's ever seen a white one on a. Matter of fact, the only white pancake handle I'd ever seen before was on a Penn Greenie 406, had a white pancake handle. That's the only one I've ever seen. That handle is unique.
And I wonder if it's somebody did make it aftermarket and it was put on years later, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Anybody else out there? Leave it in the comments.
Yeah, really like to know whether that's an original. Everything else on that handle is Mitchell all the way, but it's really different.
Now the gray paint on this one is original to it too, right?
Right, that's a gray spool. Again, very hard to find. Very hard to find. Not as hard as some, but that's not as the ones that go into the cup, those spools that are different, white and gray, are harder to find than this one is.
Okay.
But these are very expensive. Nicest one I have.
Tell me about this reel. This is a 488?
The 488. Now 48 was the largest capacity of all the big Mitchell saltwater cup rotor reels.
Cup rotor reels.
Meaning that the...
Can you say that 3 times real fast?
No. and this one in particular is rare because as far as I can be able to find out, it is what's called a 488 sport model. And you can tell, Rick can hold that up, you can tell by looking at the way the rotor is painted. You notice it's got a red ring. And then look at both sides of the side panel and you see that it's got different writing on it and everything. It's mostly cosmetic. It's basically still a regular 488, just like any other one, except they did a lot of different stuff with it. And I'm not certain whether the spool on that 488 Sport is slightly more capacity than the other one. I'm just not certain.
And it is a beautiful reel, but it has seen use. It's been used.
Oh yeah, it's a used reel.
So, do you use this reel?
Never.
Never? Okay. Used it. But it has been used.
Oh yeah.
But it's in excellent condition.
The foot is a little bit.
Yeah, you can tell right here, it's seen some little bit of rash due to rod and a little bit of chewing on it here, but this thing is in really nice condition. I never get reels that look like this. You've seen the reels that I get.
That's almost all
I get those $2 and $3 reels. I don't get the plate reels like these.
Get them like that. Matter of fact, we were talking about that 396 a while ago. I don't like the fact that spool has that rubbing on the end. You see it?
Here's what he's talking about right there. See that little bit of rub right there?
A new spool is on order.
He's ordered a new spool to replace that, so he don't like that.
Now, if I fish with it, I'm going to use this one and put line on this one. Okay. I'm not going to put line on the other one.
All right. Anything else on the 488?
The 488 is probably the most difficult bail spring I ever messed with.
Really strong bail spring.
Oh, I mean, it'll hurt you. Now, watching other guys do it, like Dennis on Second Chance Tackle and some of them, they've taught me the better way to do it. But the first time I did those, it took 2 people to do it because you had to have one person holding something while you did it. You gotta move a piece over something.
Yep.
And keep. You know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
And it's just a pain. The first one I got had a broken bail trip mechanism. I had to replace that. Okay. It was just a difficult reel to work with.
That would be this assembly in here.
Now I have 5 of them.
Now you got 5. And you say it's one of the most difficult to find, but you have 5?
I don't have 5 of this model. I only have 1 of those.
You have 5.
I have 4 other perfect regular ones.
Okay.
And, Dennis, matter of fact, Dennis got me 2 of them.
Okay. So those are, he's talking about the 488, not the 488 Sport.
Right.
Which this
488
which is
Sport
what
is unique. That's the only one. I've only ever seen one other one.
Okay, all the 488s came with a pancake handle?
All of them.
Okay.
Every one of them.
All right. This is another 396, but this one's different from the other 396 we looked at. What's different about it?
It's manual pickup. If you see it in the catalog, it will say, or on the list of schematics, like on Reel Schematic on the internet, it will say 396 MP.
MP. Manual pickup.
Manual pickup.
Meaning it doesn't have a bail.
And it was called a custom because this pickup right here is exactly the same one that's on a 498. This handle right here is exactly the same high-speed handle that you have on a 498. And they are exceedingly rare and hard to find. The 496 one they also made with a MP, a manual pickup. This is my favorite fishing Mitchell. Of all the Mitchells I have, this is my favorite.
Okay. Now, I noticed something different about this PUM from all the rest of the PUMs I've seen, and that is this little spring right here.
Some of them don't have that. Some of
Okay.
them just have a rigid bent up piece.
Because that's one of my least favorite things about the PUM is the fact that if you don't have to keep the line taut, it pops out from underneath there.
You want that.
So with
You
that
want
on
that.
there, it's not going to do that.
It won't do that. And all the other ones, like for instance, if you look at this one, no, this one's got the spring too. Well, I've got.
That's okay.
Anyway,
We'll come back to it.
the regular 498, which we'll get to, won't have that spring. It will just have the regular bent piece of metal,
Okay.
and it works the same. The spring is better. I have spare springs and screws because they are prone to wear out.
failure?
Yeah, they'll wear out.
Okay.
But that is by far my favorite Mitchell fishing reel. I just love that reel.
That's why we got it in here.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
All right. What do we got here?
These are some unique reels. First of all, I want you to look
Can you
at
see the spools? No. Bring them on in.
you want to look at the color and the handles on these to begin with, because you haven't seen any others in my collection like that. They're the only two.
They got gray pancake knobs on the handles. Okay.
The sky blue
bodies.
housings, and they'll have.
This is a which one? 498.
That's a 498. That's the large. To me, that's the king of the hill with the Mitchell saltwaters.
Okay.
And by far, if you look on eBay or someplace like that, they are the most expensive reels you'll find. There's one on here that's a left-hand version on eBay right now. It's $300.
Okay.
I got this one much cheaper than that, and it came with these two spools and just the two spools. These two spools right here are worth $120.
Okay.
But what's really unique about these, the other one's a 496, which is the high-speed version of that 396 we showed on another video.
Okay.
It's the high speed, but what's unique about these is these were made by Browning.
Really?
Browning bought Mitchell. Garcia had Mitchell for a while after it went bankrupt.
Okay.
Browning had Mitchell for a while after that. To my knowledge, these sky blue reels like that, I call them Browning/Mitchell.
Okay.
They're made in France, but they were made to Browning's specifications. And by far, they are the most beautiful Mitchells you'll ever see.
They are nice looking reels.
I mean, absolutely stunning reels. And I fish with the 496.
Now I notice this one is a PUM also.
Yeah, that's a 498, and that's the next ones we're
And it's got a different style of spring, but it still has a spring. That's a much stronger spring than the one that was on that other one.
The 498, the chrome reel that we did earlier, same reel.
Same reel.
Same reel. And just, they are, you don't see any other reel anywhere that's a PUM that has anything like a pickup arm like that.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
heavy
that
duty.
thing is heavy duty and easy to use. Just one finger and you got it.
Well, he says that.
But I have longer fingers than you. But you look at it. It sticks up higher. Look.
Yeah.
See? It's a lot higher.
Yeah, I could probably do this one.
And feel how smooth that rascal
Well, what do you
is.
guys think? Should he just give me this reel?
When donkeys fly, as they used to say. But let me show you another.
Now, you say you have fished this one?
Oh, yes.
Or just
No,
this
not.
one?
I fished this one.
You
I
haven't
haven't
fished this one. Okay.
But I've got another unique 498 to show you.
Okay.
Let's get the handle on it. I'm going to have a mess to clean up after all this, because I don't know what reel went where. I got the right one, though. See, that handle's all black. You see it? All right.
What is this, the Midnight Edition, Mitchell?
This is another model of the 498.
Okay.
And I fish with a regular 498, which is black.
Okay.
This is you remember the 488 Sport?
Right. That's what this kind of looks like. It's got the red line.
Same cosmetic. That is a 498 Sport.
Okay.
And that's why I got it. I wanted to have that pair.
The pair.
And you look at
Is
the
this
size.
as hard to come by as the other one?
You're
Yeah.
going to find one of those.
Okay.
You know, I was lucky. But look at the size of the spool on that one compared to the others. It's massive. You can put 500 yards of 20-pound test on that mono.
And it's got that long cast style to the spool. See where this spool is flat on the inside here?
Yep.
The line has to come out and over. With this long, they call that a long cast spool, and it allows the line to feed off easier.
And if you pick up the two, this one's lighter.
Yeah. My untrained hand can't feel the difference, but okay.
It's a graphite spool.
Okay.
That's why. And that's the only Mitchell I have with a graphite spool. Now, if you want to get into there is an excellent article on the internet about the Mitchell 498 that goes over all the models, and there are many, some of which go for $1,500 to $2,000. There's a 498 Africana, is what they call it, and it's got a lot of carbon fiber in it. Unbelievable looking reel. I mean, if I had one of those things, I'd be scared to touch it. But I'm really proud that I was able to get some really unusual Mitchell reels.
And I think you started collecting these at an excellent time to collect them, because it seems like during COVID people started collecting, and so you started a little before COVID.
I started in 2018,
right,
at collecting, mainly because of Dennis Kuntz,
right,
on
Second Chance Tackle.
And we talk almost daily, and he has been the most incredible mentor, encourager, and teacher.
He taught me what I know,
and also has helped me find a number of reels.
Yes,
that I
he will
find.
help you find stuff.
And he didn't help me find any of those, but the two of the 488s I have that are really beautiful mint 488s pair, that I can't believe the price he got me for those two. But most of these I got before COVID hit.
Right.
And now it's hard to collect because things have just gone out the roof. And that, some reason that's good, in that my reels are more valuable.
Yeah, they're more valuable now, but it makes it a lot harder to collect more.
And as Rick knows, I've collected all those reels since April of 2018, and I have 335 reels as of Saturday.
That's a lot of reels.
A lot of reels. And if he showed back over my shoulder and showed one of those crates and everything over there, you'd see it from where I've got them stored. The sad thing is,
it doesn't look as impressive all stuffed in the crates. It's much more impressive in the book.
Yeah.
All right, Chris gave me an up-to-date listing of his reels, what he's got, where he keeps them stored, and when you start filtering through this, it's a whole lot more impressive than looking at all those crates over there with them stacked up. There's a lot of reels in here. Each one of these tells where it goes, what crate it's sitting in. Of course, they might be kind of confused at the moment, because we took a lot of them out of the crates here today for this. But let me tell you guys something. If you watch my videos and you're only watching the videos and you're not reading the comments, you're missing out on a lot of content. Chris always comments almost every single video I do. He's got comments about stuff, and several other people do too. So if you guys are missing out on those comments, you're missing out on a lot.
I know, I read them. I read them. It's a lot of fun to read them.
There's a lot of good information in there.
You can show him what I store a lot of these are.
Let's move these over here out of the way, so I can get it over here. I don't want to have to change all the camera setup.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, basically he keeps them in, the ones that he's using, these are your usable reels. They go into cases like this.
Most valuable and unusual.
And the really top-notch reels go into containers like this, and he has quite a few of them. And that's how he takes them to the lake, or not to the lake. He don't fish no lakes. He's a saltwater fisherman, but that's how he takes them to the beach. They go in these, and they get cleaned up, put back in these when they come home, and that's how I'm planning to do several of mine. At least my saltwater reels, I'm planning to do just like this.
The thing, when I set out collecting, if you don't set some sort of parameter to your collecting, to me, you're going to get overwhelmed. I can't use anything but spinning reels because some of y'all have read my comments, understand that I'm about 60% blind. And I can't use conventional reels anymore because I cannot see when the line's going to hit the water. And so I end up with a whole bunch of, you know, messes on reels. So I sold my conventional reels. And when I started collecting, I like the saltwater surf fishing. That's my favorite fishing. So I decided that I would put this parameter to my collecting, that they would be vintage, saltwater, spinning reels, largely and mostly made prior to 1980. And that was my constraint. Some of these are in the 80s, but very rarely do I have a reel that's later than in the 80s. And they're all I fish with, they're all I like.
Yeah, and whereas if you were going to call mine a collection, it is scattered all over the place, because I'm just always looking for something unusual to show you guys. And usually once I get it, it's gone, or I'm trying to get rid of it. Sometimes it's very hard to get rid of some very unusual things.
It's hard to get rid of everyone that I work on, because they're all unique, and I don't like to turn loose of them. I don't like to turn loose of them. They're my babies.
I understand that. All right.